All right, welcome to the TO show. My name is Oedekoven, and I'll be the host of this the show. Let's just talk about a little bit what this podcast is about. You know, it's a little bit about sports, a little bit about life, but more to the student athlete. So today, my first guest is Dev Holmes. What's going on, Dev?
What's up, Tyler? Thank you for having me on the show, on the podcast. My bad.
No, you're good. Anytime. Hey, it's a little bit of show, a little bit of the podcast. You know, got a little mix of both. You know what I'm saying? A little finesse. You know what I'm saying?
I like it so far.
Okay, so let's dive into things here. So let's get the viewers to know a little bit about yourself. So, you know, how did you get to UAlbany? What's a little bit of your story? A little bit about yourself. Let the viewers know.
So, high school, junior year, committed to Villanova. Things went south with Villanova, decommitted. Me and you was on the same visit here at Albany. The next week after that, I committed to Albany. I want to say with like a week left in the signing period in February. So that was my decision to come here for college credits and everything. You know, just graduated last semester, and now I'm here just trying to get my master's right now.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy. We were on the same visit, and then we committed, I think, on the same exact day as well. I'm pretty sure. Because I remember I posted something, and I saw, Dev Holmes decommitted from Villanova, and he signed with Albany, which I was like, wow. I hadn't seen that because I was like, why is he on this visit? I was like, I figured he's going to Villanova, like he's got all this other stuff, and he decommitted. I was like, damn. Local boy.
The only kid that knew I was decommitted was Joe Casal at the time. We was in school talking about it, and then Coach G and Coach Davis came to my school, and that's when I made the decision.
That's sweet. But yeah, you've made an impact every day one since you got here. Like I remember first day coming in, like it was kind of crazy. I remember just even those 7-on-7s, like everyone was like, oh, it's Dev Holmes, like he's killing it. And yeah, I remember you just killing, like, what was it? Josh Wynn was out there and all these other seniors out there as a true freshman, just killing it in the summer. And I was like, dang, I'm excited to grow with this guy and hopefully get to be one of his best buds over the next 5 years, you know?
Came in with a chip on my shoulder. I knew Josh Wynn because he went to CBA, his younger brother, and just coming here, I came in with a chip on my shoulder, wanted to prove something.
So what's your favorite part about Albany since you've been here, since you committed? What has been your favorite part so far?
In school or sports?
Just overall, just what are you enjoying the most about just about everything? Like it could be a little bit of both. Just
being with the guys, you know. Every day you walk in the locker room, you know you done get laughs out, you done crack some jokes. That's the best thing about right now about Albany is the guys. Like it's a family right now in the locker room, and when you have a family, you go out on the field and you trust everyone. So that's the best thing right now.
That's so with this COVID stuff, like how is that and also like with Jawan leaving, have you been able to stay in touch with him? And just like even with this COVID stuff, have you been able, how have you done? Because I know I've missed that part too, like 100%. Like how, like, was it difficult for you? Like, because I felt like it was difficult for me just to be away from everyone. I felt like I wasn't like at home anymore. Like I didn't feel like when I was home, like, okay, I love my family, love being at home, but like it just didn't feel like the same. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah.
With COVID happening, I mean, me and Jawan stay in touch every day still. We play the game or shoot each other texts here and there. But yeah, we talk every day still, playing Warzone or 2K or something. But with the team getting shut down week in and week out in the fall semester, it was tough being around you guys. Like I didn't know the freshman class until this semester, so being on Zoom it wasn't in-person meeting, so it was bad. And like you seen it when we came here this semester, we still got to teach these guys the plays and everything, whereas our freshman year we got the summer experience to learn the plays, and then we came here during camp still learning the plays. And yeah, I think it's way easier when you got in-person meetings instead of Zoom because you get to see the plays ran.
Yeah, and also like you get to like, we haven't really practiced like, let's think here to this point, we've had 6, 7, 8 practices, something like that, like actual like practices. Like when we came to camp, like, you know, you have 20, 30 days of practice before your first game to like actually figure out what's going on. Like most of these guys only had 6, 7, 8 practices, which, man, that's for most of the guys, the new guys who came in, like them getting the handle on the playbook, man, hats off to them. Because like, I don't know, I know I struggled even just like the first couple days. I was like,
freshman year,
it was like kind of crazy.
Freshman year when we came in, I want to say I was struggling with the place for like a week. Even with the summer we had, I'm like, all right, 30, 31, like you do this and that. But for the freshmen to come in and have a handle on these plays, offense and defensively, hats off to them.
I remember being in camp and we're in that freaking hot Dutch room, and it was you, me, and Tyler Winston. All three of us were in there. We had a freaking 3-year in that one room. It was just burning up.
It was solid.
And we were, I remember,
in the next room.
I remember us just sitting there and we're like looking at our playbooks and we're like, okay, we got to do this on this play, and we just sit there for hours at night, and we go out the next day. We'd still screw it up. I'm like, dang, we'd still screw it. We'd still screw it up, and I remember just constantly just going over that, and I remember all I can remember is that Dutch.
The heat, just the heat, and then the one night when the power shut off and the fan turned off, I woke up sweating.
Even with that, like it was so hot in there, like I cannot sleep hot.
No.
Like what I used to do is like grab like a washcloth and like just right before I go to bed, just grab get it as cold as I can and just throw it on my face.
The bad thing was there was no hot water to shower. You showering with ice cold water on your back. That was even worse. I'm like, oh my gosh, like. Is this what camp is going to be like the next 4 to 5 years for us?
I just remember also freshman year when we were going and like we moved into Liberty, and then we moved into Dutch, and then we moved to Colonial, and then we had to move all the way back to Indian. I remember because like I brought all my stuff for like this whole semester, and we didn't have cars, and so literally I would just go around and I would literally be pushing my car, like the yellow cart around the entire campus. And I remember, we'll give you guys the day off to move in. I'm like, this is a workout for me.
The one day we had to move from Dutch to Colonial, it was raining.
Oh, I do remember that. That was kind of crazy.
It was raining, so we had to move our stuff out in the rain. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like, and shout out to Carswell because he gave me a ride from Dutch to Colonial to Indian. And he helped me out a lot. Marad, because when we moved to Colonial, Marad was my roommate when he tore his ACL, so he helped me out with his car moving my stuff to Indian too.
So yeah, I remember that, and I was just ever since then it's kind of been like, well, this year we didn't really. This is our camp, which isn't really a camp, but last year it was like different too. I feel like I understand guys that had the 2-a-days and stuff, but I feel like we're like the last group to know like what actually like what Dutch feels like, and know that all these guys are blessed now because with the AC going into those rooms,
and Liberty,
like let me tell you, it's like it was so nice having that, just because I remember just you'd go in and be like, oh my gosh, it's cold. Like you'd actually be able, I feel like you could actually recover instead of sitting in the hot tub for like half an hour just because you're like, I just want to stay here because it's hot out here. You know what I'm saying?
You go back to Liberty, you got the AC on you. You could just relax. Whereas Dutch, you're sweating again. You're like, come on, man.
I just showered. You come out of here. You just showered and all that stuff. Yeah, I brought my bike last year. That was nice to have. That was nice to have. All right, so let's. So you're a big Eagles fan, right?
Yeah, big Eagles.
So let's talk a little bit about the Eagles. What do you think? What do you think the Eagles should do with Carson Wentz? But also, what do you think with the draft coming up? What are you thinking that they should do?
Well, seeing the Eagles said they're dealing Carson Wentz out within the week, I mean, you talked about it. You want him to go to the Broncos. I don't know what they're gonna do because they said within the week, and still I haven't seen no teams. Everyone's saying the Bears, but I'm waiting to see where and who they deal him out to and what they get back for him. But with this draft coming up, we need a receiver again.
Yeah, weren't they saying that the Eagles wanted like 2 first-round picks for him or something like that?
They wanted the same thing as the Jared Goff
and I was
trade.
Sitting there saying, no.
Who's
gonna do that?
After the season he just had, like Jared Goff made it to the playoffs, beat Seattle in the playoffs, whereas Carson Wentz probably won one game this season, 2 games, and then Jalen Hurts took over for the final quarter of the season.
Yeah, I was just sitting there saying, man, that's kind of crazy. And the reason why I thought Doug Peterson was going to be fired because they're going to stay with Carson and
that's what I thought.
Be committed to him. And they brought in the Colts offensive coordinator who has been under Frank Wright for a couple of years and whatever. So I figured their relation with Frank Wright being the quarterback coach, for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. And I thought, man, they gotta stick with Carson and
then you see the breaking news saying they done deal him out.
When you sent me that, I was like, you can't. This is. I was like, man, I'm fine with the Broncos moving out from Drew Lock and knowing that they got a quarterback. And even sitting there, I'd say, hey, if you got Carson Wentz for a reasonable trade, and you still were able to hang on to this year's first round pick, well, maybe you take another quarterback and say, well, if Carson doesn't do well, then you're just like, well, I'm stuck with this contract to be just an expensive backup quarterback for maybe 1 or 2 years. Then you can cut him or trade him. And then you could just sit with another quarterback, which I was thinking, Broncos hopefully there at 9 can get Trey Lance. That's what that's who I'm a big fan of. Is at 9 is Trey Lance. I seen a mock
draft where the Panthers might trade up to get Trey Lance at 3 now.
Yeah, because I was seeing that the Panthers were offering some pretty big stuff. They were in the conversation with the Goff or the Stafford trade, and I remember they were offered the best deal, and then the Rams came out of no left field and just went crazy. That's what the story came down. I guess they're actively, what everyone's been saying is they're actively looking. So I'm like, well, hopefully they trade up and get Justin Fields, because if the Broncos have Justin Fields there, I don't want them to take him. No way. That or they just trade out. They trade out of the first round. But like I said, hopefully I'll do a mock draft here.
I'm waiting to see your mock draft.
I gotta see a couple pro days. It sucks that the combine isn't coming out. They don't have in-person stuff. Kind of frustrated about that, because it's like, man, that's just like a big thing. Because I just like seeing how everyone's moving around and how everyone comes in, weighs in, and stuff like that. That's what I like to do with that's my big one is predicting the combine. And I understand the combine's just numbers, but those NFL guys, they're all about the numbers and speed. It's not necessarily just about in my opinion, football. You can play football. There's been plenty of guys who've been undrafted, not running the greatest times or whatnot. And so it's like, man, but all those guys
back, undrafted.
Philip Lindsay, I know,
killing it.
I know, but I guess we'll have to find out. Like I said, hopefully the pro days. I'm curious to see what the pro days do, because are the big schools gonna come in and say like, hey, we're gonna have it on this day, so you better have your best scouts at our pro day, like the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the LSU's, people like that, where they got a lot of players coming in, or are they gonna just try to spread them out and coordinate them to do whatnot? It'll be interesting to see, how these pro days are conducted as well, because it'll be a lot different because of COVID of one thing, but it'll be interesting to see how people actually run their times, what are they doing, and whatnot. It'll be interesting to see that. It'll be really definitely different.
When I seen they canceled the combine, I was kind of shocked because they still kept the Reese's game.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. I think also another thing they probably canceled it is that they were probably trying to find a host because of the NCAA tournament they're using the Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to say, could they cannot find a place to do that or something, or what was going on with that? But who knows?
Yeah. It's gonna be once again a very interesting off season.
Yeah, especially with us playing the 6 games and turn around, play 12 games. I hope we can get ready. I'm excited because we got big. I saw the schedule.
It might be the toughest schedule here at Albany ever.
That's gonna be fun. Whether, like I said, I want to win, but whether we win or lose, we get to play in the dome at North Dakota. Think about that. We were at Montana State.
Number 1 team.
I rember at Montana State. I know you weren't there, but we were at Montana State, and I'm going to get them lined up on the first play, and I'm like, I was like sitting there. I'm just like, this is so cool. Like I can't hear anything. Like I'm just like I can't hear anything. The crowd's so loud, and then all you see is Jawan Moss, the guy, score.
They said you could hear a pin
and
drop.
It literally just got so quiet. It's so quick. I was sitting there, and I was like, man, this is just, man. I wish like I said, I want to. The time I'm here, I want to try to build something, you know. And I think what we should all do is try to build some sort of just build our program, but build a fan base to get people to come show up to the game, so we can have like we have the stadium capacity, we got the berm, we got the drunk guys in the field club down there, and we got, like I said, we got the stadium. We can get that thing packed, and you know.
Yeah, you see the opportunity we got. Homecoming, it was packed.
Yeah, it's always packed there. Like I said, we just got to get people to come and stay there, and hopefully like these Midwest teams where they come in and it's freezing cold, but the people still bundle up and, you know, have a couple drinks and, you know, just
support
have a good time. You know, hopefully. Well, that's my goal is not necessarily, you know, build the program up, is hopefully create a fan base. Because the way Albany's set up, it's kind of tough because of everyone lives, you know, 20, 25, 30 minutes away. You know, there's not a lot of actually people that live in, you know, Albany that would come to our games. So I'm hoping, you know, continue just to build a fan base, you know, reach out to the community, talk to people, you know, and see, hopefully get people to come to games and stuff like that. Because I think that would be so exciting if we could get, you know, Casey Stadium just rocking, man. If we get it rocking and all that stuff, that'd be fun. That'd be fun, really fun to play for.
And then after the North Dakota State game, we play in the other dome out in Syracuse.
That's true. That will be. There's a lot of cool stories in that building, that dome. I know you won the state championship there twice, right?
Yeah. Haven't lost in that dome yet.
So hopefully we're not losing. We're not losing. Again, hopefully not losing in that dome again. Yeah. How was playing there? Is it pretty cool? Like.
Yeah, we probably had a couple thousand, and it still was loud. So I can just imagine 20,000 at minimum. It's a college stadium, so Syracuse can definitely hold 60,000, 70,000 people in there. So if 60,000, 70,000 people in that dome, I went on a game visit my junior year, and on every third down, it gets rowdy in there. So I hopefully it's packed when we play there. I know someone who plays there, Terry. He's a freshman, D lineman. I work out with him in Springfield.
Okay.
So, you know, when Syracuse released the schedule, me and him was texting back and forth. So hopefully it's a good game. It should be.
Like I said, hopefully we can sneak one out there. I think that'd be really sweet. Like I said, we got one FBS win. Hopefully, you know, we keep. I mean, if think about it, if we even beat North Dakota State, like. I'm classifying those guys as FBS wins, yes. And those guys are good, man.
They could definitely play at the FBS level and still.
I'm curious to see like JMU or like North Dakota State. Are they content with like, you know, I understand like you have to, you know, have a conference come at you and be like, hey, you want to come play with us? But like, you know, you saw like with Appalachian State. You know, after a couple of years, they were really successful moving up. You know, I'm curious to say, well, maybe these guys, you know, not necessarily to the smaller conference, but maybe like maybe somebody like the Big Ten or somebody like that wants to take a shot. Because I think those guys, man, those guys can play with, I think, about anybody in the country. I mean, Alabama might be a stretch, but I think you could throw them in the Big Ten, and I think they'd still be better than Rutgers and a lot of these other schools that
definitely
would be. You know, would at least be competitive. You know, I think they could play with Minnesota, probably play with Iowa. They got a lot similar stuff with Iowa. So
they a couple years ago, I want to say they beat Iowa State.
Yeah, that's true. I do remember that. Yeah, Wentz was there. I think. Yeah, Wentz was there. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, I got a couple buddies. I know that playing the Big Ten. A couple buddies at Penn State. Another kid at Iowa. I
can definitely see North Dakota State making a jump and being successful. So
that's sweet. So going back, so a little bit more about yourself, Dev. So you've lived technically in Troy, but you know we'll call it just the Albany area. So how was growing up, you know, in the Albany area? You know, how's that impacted you as a kid? You know, or as you are now? How much of an impact has it made? Have you liked it, not liked it? You know, what's your take on, the your thoughts on it.
Growing up in the Albany area, I had my older brother who played for the Packers for a season. He took me around everywhere when we was little, so I think that's why I was never scared to play football against older dudes, because he's 6 years older than me, and I was playing against people 6 years older than me up until I signed up for Pop Warner. So growing up, he's still a role model in my life. Albany, Trail High, we would come to their team camp every year. So up until the team camp, like my sophomore year, I'm like, Albany, like, are they even a Division I team? Like, then I started doing research, FCS, CAA. I'm like, oh, that's one of the best conferences. Kept coming to the team camps, and I remember my junior year was when Coach Gattuso was talking to me, saying he likes me a lot, keep doing this. And then I came in April, and he offered me on an unofficial visit. And I remember my high school head coach said, yeah, you're going to have a surprise for you tomorrow. And I was like, surprise? Like, what does he mean by that? And then getting that first offer, it's a big relief. I'm like, oh, so this is what it feels like. Okay, so now I don't got to worry about the recruiting process. I know I have a school. And then after that, that's when Army, Navy, Villanova offered me. I committed early to Villanova and then decommitted, committed here. But growing up, can't complain. Wherever you at, you got to make the most of the opportunity, so I can't complain. Parents were together up until I was 7, got divorced. Still talk to both of them. They got me and my 3 brothers have the same mom and dad, So we're all tight and close. So
that's good.
It was fun growing up here, because you see me and Joe Casal.
Yeah.
We faced each other up until we went to the same middle school. And basketball, football, we always played against each other. So a lot of dudes in this area, like Brad. Brad went to Guilderland. He played us his sophomore year, and we got a nice little video of our running back stiff arming into the dirt. So you could tease him about that. But yeah, it was fun growing up here.
So we talk about the Albany area, and the football in, let's just say even the state of New York, but let's just even say just the Albany area. There's not a lot of exposure, not a lot of stuff to do that. So what do you think as college athletes? We might not, you're from here, but I'm not from here and stuff like that. What do you think we can do to help reach out and help them, or at least get some sort of exposure for them? Because I bet you played a bunch of kids who, you were like, man, this guy's good. Like, why isn't he playing at least college football? Or why isn't he doing these other stuff? Like, there's plenty of guys who I played in high school, and at least in Pennsylvania, where I'm like, well, this guy's going there. What are these guys seeing? You know what I'm saying? And I think you see it across a couple. You've seen it, that there's guys here, and of course there's grades and other stuff that factor in. But what do you think we can do at least as a community, an Albany community, to help reach out and help those other programs, those high school, even just middle school, elementary school kids, to help expand the football and hopefully get them getting more exposure.
Outside of New Jersey, I want to say the whole Northeast, a lot of high schools don't know about the camps and the combines, like the Nike combine and everything for high school kids. I learned about it my junior year, and before that I didn't know. But I know a lot of kids I work out with in Springfield, they knew about the camps. Like the quarterback, he's a sophomore. He has offers to Oregon, Arizona, Pitt, UMass. He has big time offers right now, and he knew about the camps. So I would want to say, to get exposure here, go to the camps, go to the combines at a young age to get noticed early. Because if you're not going there, there's plenty of kids down in Texas, plenty of kids down in Florida, California, that they're recruiting. New Jersey's a pipeline. Pennsylvania's a pipeline. New York and up, it's not a lot of exposure with football kids. People, when I went down to Florida for a camp, they was like, where you from? I was like, New York. They was like, New York, that's a basketball state, right? I'm like, you could say that a lot of, because Carmelo Anthony came out of New York. And
there's plenty of great basketball players that came out of New York.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Do you think that basketball overshadows the football? So everyone kind of, basketball, especially in the city or even upstate. I mean, I played, I used to live 20 miles from the New York border, and we used to play a couple of New York teams, and those New York teams were, pretty good, and not saying Pennsylvania basketball is, not fabulous, but it's like probably just a half a step down compared to New York. Do you think that overshadows, for kids to play football? They kind of just like, because, you got football before basketball, and they're like, hey, man, screw football. I'm just going to play, work on basketball until the season starts. Or do you think that's how that goes? Or
I would say yes, because even with me, I played AAU up until I was in high school, and I could have swore I was going to play basketball in college. And then sophomore year was when we lost in the Super Bowl in football, and we started training. And then junior year we went to states, and I'm like, all right, I like that. Like to this day, I like basketball more. Like it's enjoyable, but I'm better at football. So a lot of kids, I want to say, in New York State, you probably pick up a basketball before you pick up a football. So I would want to say, yeah, basketball overshadows football.
Yeah, I could see that. I can definitely see that. I could just, especially like I said, my roommate Joe House, he's from the city, and I just think of like, okay, well, think about how many more basketball courts, like open basketball courts, you can go play in, rather than you got open grass fields to actually go like throw the football around. Like most kids don't even have a yard, so how are they going to be able to go outside and throw the pigskin around and just do stuff like that, rather than like me growing up, you go in the backyard, or you'd go to just walk to a park and you just throw the football around, maybe play a little tackle football. You can't really do that, unless skinning your knees up and your elbows up, and whether you're doing that in the city. And so
when I went down to Florida for spring break at Jordan's house, when we was driving around Florida, I see why Florida is a year-round football state. They have so much grass fields, and you can literally go to any park. Like when I worked out with Go Feet with Jordan, we was just at a regular playground working out. Antonio Brown, Jerry Jeudy, all of them showed up to the playground. I'm like, whoa, like these dudes like are big time players right now. And seeing them, I'm like, this is a regular park. Like this ain't nothing crazy. But like New York, like you said, in New York City, you don't have parks like that with a bunch of grass fields to just go play football. Like you have way more basketball courts down in the city instead of grass fields. So yeah, I definitely would say basketball overshadows football upstate.
Yeah, I was just thinking like right now, with the way the NCAA rules are set up or whatnot, I don't know if you'd be able to do this, but I guess the question I'd probably have to ask is, could I, could even just like a group of us set up a camp, for all local high school kids, to, it could be at the UAlbany High School or Troy or Shen or something like that, local high school, and just have kids come for free, in the summertime, and just, work with them and reach out and be able to, hopefully be able to expand, use all your marketing on social media, hopefully hit up a bunch of, high school coaches and high school players. I mean, you probably know plenty of guys in the area since you're local, but and just being able to reach out to the community. And I just feel like the Albany area, I just feel like there's so many people. It's not like the most populated place, but it's enough populated where I lived in a bunch of cities that had way less population and way more people were going to play college sports than the Albany area. And so I was just thinking, there's got to be some way as at least Albany, as at least college athletes, is being able to support the community, because I feel like, it's kind of helped me, grow in these past 3 years. About to be 4, career coming up soon, but just helped me grow as a person and as a player. And so I always thought about
things
giving
like
back.
that. Yeah, like I don't know what the NCAA rule is on that, but yeah, like once you know about these camps and everything, like down in Springfield, the fathers help the kids out with going to these camps and everything. Even our trainer, Coach Chris, he brings kids to these camps if they don't have no ride or anything. Like he would bring you to a camp to get you exposure. So, but yeah, also when you said the community, a lot of kids get caught up in the streets, and you hate to see it because a lot of kids, like we see in here, a lot of kids have talent, don't want to do the schoolwork. They want to go do something else, and it's sad because in every community it's like that. And that one step is to clean up the streets, clean up the community, and make sure the kids stay off the streets. Because if you're a dope and you see a kid with talent, you don't want him doing the things you're doing.
No.
Like it's bad. So
No, like I said, heard plenty of stories and talked to a bunch of people around really around the United States and seen it from different places. And it's just sad to see some of those talented guys go, do that. But at the end of the day, almost football is like almost their sports is almost their way out. And the most hardworking people that I've met and done and do stuff, and there's plenty of that guys even on our team that have done stuff like that to get out of that and work their butt off just to even get here. And just sad to see that. But like I said, hopefully I want to be able to impact those kids and be like, hey, hopefully they'll be able to look up to me and whatnot and be like, hey, I don't want to be on the streets. I want to use football as as a tool to get a free education. I can get I can graduate in 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, and get a degree and maybe make it to the NFL, but more likely not. I got a free college degree. That's
plan B.
I got a almost a $400,000 piece of paper that says, hey, I worked my butt off to get here, and I graduated. So now you can go in and say, I'm qualified. I can do this job. I can do that, and that's what I'm trying to do, and hopefully give back to the community here soon. And just thinking about that as I get older, and I just see people around the Albany area, especially downtown, and just people on the streets and stuff like that. Hopefully get these kids off those streets and at least get them into football or get them into a sport. It doesn't necessarily have to be football. It can be basketball, it can be baseball, and just hopefully lead them in the right way and just help at least guide them. Have some sort of mentor.
Yeah, keep their mind off that.
To kind of just like look up to and be like, because I remember as a kid, I was the biggest Tim Tebow fan. Like I was, Broncos drafted him in the first round. I loved him in college. I loved, his faith and all that stuff. I loved that. As I remember growing up, I want to just be like him. And I literally have like all the books he's written and all that stuff. And it's just like, I think everyone needs somebody like that, because that's what helped me got here, helped me work. People are born talented. I was born with a little talent, but I had to work my butt off just to to get to the place where I'm at. So I'm just glad that I was able to find somebody that I really look up to. So I want to be able to give back and hopefully give at least 1 or 2 kids, at least them looking up to somebody else, create a good role model and be able to say, man, I want to be just like him, and I want to whether it's play for UAlbany or just I want to play college sports, work my butt off, hopefully, get there, graduate, and, be successful in the world.
That's why I thank my brother so much, because he was my mentor. He led the path for me. He went D2, but he still led the path with school, football, being a good person. And at the end of the day, like you said, he has his degree. He just got his CPA.
That's awesome.
So
that's tough. There's a lot of school and a lot of tests and all that stuff to get hurdle through. I mean, that's
especially playing football too. Like you got to do a lot of time management. So, but yeah, he was my mentor. I mean, I do have a lot of favorite college.
Yeah,
athletes,
of course. There's always like one that usually like sticks out. You know what I'm saying? Like there's usually just one that sticks out to you, and you're like, man, I want to be just like him. Like you see him, like, oh man, he's so cool. Like
yeah, you wouldn't think it because I play offense now, but Brian Dawkins, I loved him on the Eagles, loved him. And Pop Warner, I wanted to hit like him and everything. Then I got to high school, I'm like,
I can see.
I'm a little kid. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm not like him.
I remember Brian Dawkins. Yeah, I was a fan of Brian Dawkins, especially after he came and played for the Broncos. In the like last 4 or 5 seasons that he was there. I remember him. He was playing in a preseason game with a broken hand. I'm sitting there saying, "This is preseason. You're a 10-year NFL vet, and you're playing preseason with a broken hand. This guy's just a freaking dog, man. Like this guy's just nuts.
Watch that team. Looking back at that team, I'm surprised they didn't win a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb, Brian Westbrook, Brian Dawkins.
Andy Reid.
Yeah,
Andy Reid was the head coach too.
Andy Reid has some good teams.
Yeah, well, they came up short again. They got smoked.
Yeah, 31-9 to Tom Brady once again.
Of course. I mean, I remember watching the game and just like Patrick Mahomes is running for his life, out there, and I understand. I saw his comments after the game, and I understand he was frustrated, but I just felt like they didn't game plan very well for the Bucs. I mean, they're just trying to chuck it deep all day, and I understand that's their game, like throwing it up to Tyreek Hill, but man, like sometimes you just got to take what the defense is giving them. They were just playing a too deep shell the entire game, rushing 4, and just I understand they got White and Levante David, probably the best front 7 in football, in my opinion, and I think I thought they should have done is just thrown a lot more screens to Tyreek Hill, some smoke screens and stuff like that. Just get the ball out of his hand, because you can't go in saying, okay, our left tackle's out, our right tackle's out, our right guard is
One
out.
of the guards were out.
Well, I think it was the right guard. I can't remember.
Someone opted out before the season started.
I think so, that too. And they were he's on the front line. He's a healthcare worker on the front line, helping with COVID and stuff like that. That's why he opted out, which is that's incredible. But I remember just like, hey, you can't play after Fisher's out. You can't just sit back there and drop back 40 yards and say,
go get it,
throw a prayer up, and because they got to know that.
Yeah, I also thought Clyde was running good with the rushing attempts he got. If you're playing too deep, they was basically saying run the ball.
Well, that's how you got to beat the Chiefs. Is you got to say, because they don't want to run the ball. They don't want to. They want to
use their weapons.
Them and the Bills are about the only team in the NFL that do not want to run the ball. They just want to sling it, pick up big plays, and do whatever. And I didn't even know who to cheer for. I'm a Broncos fan. I'm like, I don't know if I want to cheer for the Chiefs, but man, Tom Brady's killed the Broncos for so long. It's like, man, I don't know who I want to cheer for. So I was just sitting there saying, man, I'm surprised Vegas was still favored them by 3 points. I was looking in the game. I was like, your left tackle's out, your right tackle's out, your guards are out. There's no way with Shaquille, Vita Vea, and Jason Pierre-Paul, you're sitting there saying, and these guys can just hold up for 2-3 seconds and let Patrick Mahomes hold. There's no way.
No, you saw it. They was coming in free a couple times, and he was running for his life the whole game. And after that first drive, when they didn't score, and TB12 went down and capitalized with 7 points instead of 3, I'm like, okay, hold up, this might be a good game. It was a blowout.
Yeah, but also it's just so incredible, whether you like Tom Brady or hate him or whatever it is, like the fact the dude wins seven rings, like
43 years old.
Like, and you're playing till 43, in which I think he's gonna play till I think the oldest football player was Blanca at 48. He's a kicker for the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna play till he's 49 and be like, man, I'm the oldest player. I think he's gonna if they're able to keep, Godwin, Mike Evans is still good. Their Jensen's good. I think their whole offense is pretty much still.
I know AB might be a free agent.
Yeah, but he's definitely not going to go anywhere because Tom Brady has mentored the crap out of him and been able to just say, hey, man, I'll get you help. Whatever it takes, like I'll come help you out. I think I think I could see them possibly, if one of the corners drops back to them, which it might, because this will be a quarterback fest and a receiver fest, I think, in the first 15 picks.
Yeah,
is they might trade up to get a corner or something like that, because I think, like I said, I think the Winfield, that pick was really good last year in the second round with Murphy Bunting and who's the other corner? I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Murphy, Winfield, Whitehead, and
I can't think of the other guy. Carlton Davis, that's his name.
Yeah.
But I think if they were able to get, one more corner, I think, man, Todd Bowles and that defense, you could just play, nickel or dime the entire game. Just
with Devin White.
With Devin White and Levante David, letting them roam sideline to sideline. Vita Vea, two gapping, Shaquille Barrett, he's former Bronco, knows whatever Von Miller does, that's pretty much what he does. And then having JPP being able to freaking tackle guys with 3 fingers or whatever he's got the club on his right hand, or it's incredible.
It's also amazing to see that team gel so well without a preseason, a real camp, and to all of them guys. To like Leonard Fournette got picked up by the Buccaneers. Like it was amazing to see them gel so well with Tom Brady. Yeah, and that's all because of Tom Brady.
I think so too. And my prediction was in the middle of the season when they were struggling. I was like, man, these guys probably win 10 games just because of their talent, but I don't know how far they were going to the playoffs. And, I think what helped them the most is they played Atlanta twice, at the end of the season, which has like the worst pass defense in the NFL last year. And then they played the Lions, I think, as well. And those 2 passing defense were horrendous. And I think that gave them all the confidence in the world to be like, hey, man, we can play, these guys suck. These pass defenses suck. We can, play with anybody. And, I think it gave them all the confidence going into the playoffs, and they got hot.
They got hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, all they had to do was get past the Packers. And,
Because it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Yeah. And the Saints beat them twice. You've seen them in the playoffs. The outcome.
And the Packers, man, that was a tough game. I was rooting hard for the Packers.
Yeah, I didn't know who was gonna win that game. But they kind of take Adams being the best receiver at the time.
They kind of blew it, in my opinion. I mean, the Buccaneers did control the clock and did a lot of things. They were able to run the ball better than the Packers were. But
I also think you got to go for.
Yeah, the Packers just left too much on the board in that game. But
yeah, you got to go for that on 4th and goal. You don't take the field goal because you're facing Tom Brady. It's not like you're facing a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but this will be I think this will be one of the craziest off seasons, ever since, probably the Peyton Manning era, when Peyton Manning was the free agent, whatnot, with that big deal. But how many trades there are going to be, how many different signings there are going to be, and whatnot.
Talking about that, J.J. Watt just got released.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. I would be curious to see where he goes. I hope he goes to the Packers. They need another interior guy.
And that's what I said. I can see him going back home to Wisconsin, but I can also see him playing with his brother in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think he's going to try to win a chip, and so I could see him, sacrificing money to go somewhere at Houston, where they have had a couple of playoff, 1 or 2 playoff games, but they've all, kind of just blew them because, they're a brand new team. I mean, they're one of the newest NFL teams right now, and so they're still figuring stuff out. And but yeah, I hope he goes to. I love J.J. Watt. Such a good guy. I mean, I remember the stuff he did with Houston when they had the hurricane there and raised all that money, and did all that great stuff. And, it sucks to see a guy who works so hard and does his other stuff playing with,
he puts his body on the line. His
body. He was playing through like almost the whole season with some sort of crazy injury that I don't even remember what it was, but it was some crazy injury. And you want guys like that on your team all day, just as leaders, good people off the field, but not all. They play hard and they're very productive. It's just crazy to see stuff like that. I hope he goes somewhere where at least he can compete for that championship, because he hasn't been out of the first round of the playoffs. I mean, some player like that should definitely see. I feel like more, but it's tough to see.
It's real tough.
But it'll be exciting to see what Darnold, if Darnold stays, if Deshaun magically gets traded, Carson Wentz is still out there. There'll be almost 5 quarterbacks taken in the first 20 picks, probably something like that. Yeah. And man,
I think it's a lock pick with Trevor Lawrence at 1.
Yeah, that's a lock. That's a guarantee. But I'm excited. Like I said, a lot of stuff. I feel like there's going to be a lot of crazy, a lot of kind of 180s where people are thinking, oh man, this guy's going here, but they end up doing some trade or some sort of stuff like that, which I don't know. I wonder, because it'll probably be another COVID draft where they'll have to set everything up at the GM's homes and owners' homes, whatever. And it was interesting to see. Like, I thought last year that there'd been more trades, but my curious is the technology. I understand you get on the phone with somebody and whatnot, but they're usually kind of all relatively close to each other. Is being able to with this COVID and being at home, you just sitting there saying, man, I'm just not going to trade. Like, I don't like, does it disincentivize their trading? Because I felt like could have been a lot more trades last year in the first round, and there was stuff at the back end, especially with the Packers taking Jordan Love and doing stuff like that. But I'm curious to see.
Talk about that. Do you think Aaron Rodgers stays or goes?
I don't know. That's a great question.
It's a real, because he just came off his MVP season.
So I think what's going to happen is also it's going to correlate is if management, if he goes and talks to management, says, okay, Aaron Jones is gone.
Yeah, can't pay him.
Okay, Bakhtiari is going to be out for majority of the season next year. All right, the center, Lindsey, is he's a free agent.
Yeah, you got to pay your line first.
So they were saying that they haven't even offered him a contract yet. Any sort of contract. They haven't even really talked about it, and almost seems like there's no interest from the Packers. So it'd be interesting to see because, like if Lindsey, he's top 3 center in the NFL. Bakhtiari is probably the best left tackle in the NFL. And seeing Aaron Jones gone, which I understand they picked up A.J. Dillon, but you still have Devontae there. But it'll be curious to see what he does, because if he goes to management, be like, hey, I want J.J. Watt. I want this guy. You need to sign him for me to stay. I'll take less money. I want to win. I want to win that championship. I want to do this. But a lot of the Packers management has been like, not really been communicating, which I find that interesting. Where you have probably you could argue, well, just for argument's sake, a top 10 quarterback of all time. Yes, there's probably no question about that. Top 10 quarterback, being able to throw at all platforms, on the move, in the pocket, pick apart a defense.
Question, coming off the MVP season,
and it's just
he still doesn't have it. He has it still.
It's just curious to say, well, does he go to the 49ers then, or where does he go then if he doesn't want to go? I was thinking, 2 places.
That's the other team that's dangerous.
49ers or the Saints, which I don't think the Saints have any cap room enough, but if he was able to take a pay cut, would he be able to go to the Saints and see what happened? Because with Kamara and Michael Thomas, that would be a little scary to have for the Saints, and they got the top 5 defense in the NFL. It'd give Tampa Bay another run for their money. You play Tom twice, a year, possibly 3 times if they're making the playoffs. So, it'll be interesting to see what he does, because it's all going to be up to management. And I don't think he's going to force his way out, because that's just not who Aaron Rodgers is. But what I've enjoyed the most about Aaron Rodgers, though, I've been watching the Pat McAfee show. And the interviews he does he's been doing it during the week every season, and I just remember him talking about stuff, and it was just so fascinating. Just being able to pick his brain and just be able to figure out what does he enjoy, and just him. It seems like he's just having such a good time. I see him being happy, and it just kind of makes me happy, because I like guys. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a fantastic player, fantastic person. Just funny to see people like that.
Yeah, watching Tom Brady in that golf tournament, you don't get to see that side. So watching that, I was like, all right, I like Tom even more, respect him more. We're watching that.
I remember the COVID thing where Chuck was talking smack to him, and he puts it. I remember he started off the first 5 holes, slice right, just slicing off the tee. And I remember he just hit one. He would on this hole. He sliced one right, hit one back in the fairway, and then he nailed it in. I'm sitting there saying, "Wow, man, where did that come from?"
And Chuck was talking so much. So
don't shut up.
Drilled
that was funny.
Ripped his pants.
That was funny. I remember. That COVID time was kind of. It was nice to see those golf tournaments. Kind of gave me hope. I'm a big golf fan. I love golfing. It's freaking almost 0 degrees outside right now. I was wishing Florida playing golf, but you know, I'm hoping early some nice weather, so maybe I can get out there, at least hit the range or whatnot, and do whatever. I'm a big time golfer.
During that COVID time, it was fun to see the golf tournaments, and the Last Dance came out during that time.
Yeah,
we didn't have a lot of sports during that time, so seeing those.
The draft was another big one too that I remember I was just bored. Most of my classes were done with, or I took my final, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm actually just gonna dive into this draft thing and figure it out. So I made like 3 or 4 different mock drafts, and I finally made a final one. I was like, fact that I did so well, I was like, man, maybe this is something I should look into do. Maybe I should be a general manager.
I remember we was texting you in the receiver group chat during the draft, and you calling these picks out. I'm like, what? How does he know this? Like, no way. And then he was like, yeah, I did a mock draft. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I think the only one in that scenario, I think the only one I didn't do in the top 10 was, I think I had Isaiah Simmons a little bit higher, because I can't remember who. I think that he dropped to the Cardinals, which I wasn't thinking. But I think that was the only one. That and Ruggs. Ruggs was in the top 15. That was the one I was like, man, the fact that Ruggs.
That 40 time.
That Ruggs went before Judy or even CeeDee Lamb, because I was like, man, it's going to be Judy or Lamb, and then it'll be then it'll be whoever they didn't pick. And then I was thinking the Broncos were getting stuck with Ruggs, and I'm like sitting there saying, man, I really hope they don't draft Ruggs. Like, either trade out of it or just take somebody who's probably dropped to them, you know. And
you thinking you got Jerry Judy. I'm thinking the whole time, oh my gosh, Justin Jefferson is still on the board. We take Jalen Reagor.
That's why I think in this draft that even though Devontae Smith, you know, 3 seasons or whatever, 4 seasons he's had, I can't remember, it's 3. I think it's 4.
I want to say it's 4 because he was at the.
He's a true freshman with Tua, so I'm guessing it's 4.
Yeah, scoring that touchdown.
Yeah, so 4 years at Alabama was incredible. Like, I remember even last year, you know, he kind of got, you know, a little bit with Ruggs and Judy, but I mean, he was still getting the ball, and just this year, just so incredible. But then you go back to Chase, and you're like, okay, well, Justin Jefferson just had, you know, one of the craziest rookie seasons of any sort of receiver.
And Jamar Chase.
And Jamar Chase was, you know, the leading receiver with Burrow. You got to sit there and say, man, I think I got to go with. I think I would go personally with Jamar Chase, just because if I see Justin Jefferson, you know, it's, you know, you would hope that somebody would be like, okay, I'll take Devontae Smith, so the Eagles drop back with Jamar Chase or something like that. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Also, him coming off the Heisman season he just had, you would think he would go over Jamar Chase, and Jamar just opted out.
I saw some of the mock drafts had him as far back as like 15 or 16. Devontae Smith. I'm sitting there saying, you're crazy.
Yeah,
you're crazy. Like, if Devontae Smith was at the board at 9 and Trey Lance was off the board, I'd be like, hey man, like, maybe we'll reconsider this, and maybe we'll take another receiver like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Devontae Smith. Like,
that's a scary
man,
receiver core.
But also you got to think like, okay, Miami's sitting there, so, you know, they're going to be committed to Tua unless they trade him, which I don't think would be a smart idea for Watson. I think Deshaun Watson's great, but he's played 1 year and people are saying, oh, he sucks. I'm like sitting there saying, like, you guys had him almost the highest. If you said if he didn't get hurt, he'd be the number 1 overall pick. I didn't think he was the number one quarterback, even if he was healthy. In my opinion, I think Joe Burrow was, but even coming out, oh, this guy's amazing, like, and I think he's good. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the way Joe Burrow is, but I'm just excited to see, like, okay, what. So if you had Alabama where they got the number 3 pick, well, Tua's been throwing to Devontae Smith for those 3 years. You know, it'd be nice to have something like that, and then maybe you take, like you said, the whole Alabama trend with Najee Harris as your running back or something like that, or, you know, maybe you take another corner or something like that back in the back half of the draft or something. You know, they still had a top 15 defense in the NFL. So
you're talking about the people saying Tua's bad this year, I still think a lot of these young quarterbacks didn't have a camp or preseason games or anything. Like, they came off Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Going straight to football.
No mini camp. No nothing. No walks.
Camps,
No
OTAs.
Pretty much it was like, okay, like, which is glad to see Jawan. Shout out to Jawan, but him do fantastic, because I'm like sitting there saying, man, all these undrafted guys, all these 7th round guys are getting hosed, because if they're gonna choose between a 7th round or a veteran, they're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna take the veteran because I know what the veteran has. Even though the 7th round might be more talented and do stuff like that. So I was, when I saw Jaron as well, I was so happy for those guys, because it's like, man, out of all the years, I feel like this year was the hardest to make it a team as an undrafted,
to make
a
and
free
stay
agent
on the team throughout the season.
Exactly. And then Jawan didn't get off the practice squad. I don't think
he didn't get activated this season.
So, but the fact that Jaron was able to make the special teams, get activated off the practice squad, and be able to play that too, it's just, man, I was so
both
happy
them
for
guys,
those guys.
if they had a camp with preseason game, I think both them guys get activated.
I think so too. I think it would have been better, but hopefully we'll see those guys again next year. Like I said, I think NFL stands for not for long, so hopefully those guys are started grinding again, getting at it again. And
yeah, I know both of them guys, because we're in a nice little Madden league. I know both of them guys started working out again, getting back in the grind.
That's good, because I'm excited to see those guys, especially like guys, guys you play with, when you go against them just about every day, like with Jawan, sitting in the same room every day, and just talking to him and just being able to know him, and just excited. It's, you just want the best for those guys.
Yes.
Like, just so excited. Like, hopefully, with those guys able to pave the way for other guys who might have the opportunity to do that, because you see like Alabama, LSU, all these SEC schools, the top ones, where it's like, well, man, just plug and play, man. You're going to the NFL, like, at least you get a chance. I'm not saying to make the team, but they get a chance to make the team.
Yeah.
So hopefully be able to pave the way for those other guys that maybe get the opportunity, because at the end of the day, that's everyone's dream. I mean, most people's dream is to go play at that level. Not everyone can do it, but it's it's definitely something cool about it. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid and be like, man, first of all, I was like, my goal is, I want to play college football. I just want to play college sports. And then the next thing, oh man, it'd be so cool to be able to play on Sundays and have all these fans yelling at you, doing all that stuff.
TV.
Be on TV.
Yeah.
I always thought that was like.
I remember when I was little, and if I was ever on the news for like church or something, I would always get excited to see myself on the TV. I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, snap.
I remember like the first time like I made the paper or something. Like, I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is the coolest thing. And then after a while, you're like, oh, I just made the paper.
Like with high school sports, it was the first time, sophomore year, they interviewed me, and I'm stuttering. I'm like, dang, I didn't know what to say. Like, nervous. Then you get used to it and everything. And you just like,
But
talk.
Even like doing this podcast, like if you had told me in high school, man, you'd have started up a podcast, like you'd be able to video it, show it to the world, so everyone can see it. I'd been like, you're crazy. I don't have the guts to do that. Like, no. I'd have been like, man, I'd be like, okay, yeah.
So you asked about my life. It was good. And just stop talking.
I remember the first couple interviews. I remember after our state game, and all the Erie guys on our team know about this. Is I got interviewed for this for the news, and the entire time I was just like looking down at the ground and just like like I'm just staring at the ground. Like I got made fun of forever, and I'll probably still get made fun of to this day about just me just staring at the ground and just like, because I was freaking nervous, man. I didn't know what to say. Like, they were asking me these questions, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah.
The one person I know that never got nervous and loves to talk and can talk fluently to the news, to anybody, Joe Casale. He never gets nervous getting interviewed, speaks up with his chest. I'm like, yo, how you, like, how? Like, You
just got the confidence, I guess, to do that. I don't know. Some people are just made that way. Like, I remember, like, just the first time you talked to the news, like, You know, it's like, okay, like everyone's gonna hear this, so I better say the right thing.
Yeah.
If I say the wrong thing,
You
man,
don't want to
like,
mess up.
I don't want to
Then
mess
you
up.
think too deep and you start stuttering. You like, they don't see it on live TV. Hopefully they cut that part out.
Yeah, I'm gonna make fun of Kobe for this. I remember watching Kobe in the interview, and he's and the other day he's sweating, and he's just like, man, this is the only second time I've got interviewed here. And I'm sitting there saying, hey man, you'll do fine. He's like, no, I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous.
For the media
And then
day?
they took, I was looking because the news did a story or something, and they did his thing, and it was like, man, he did a great job with his interview or whatnot. You know, it's like, man, I still get nervous for if people come and interviewing me and stuff like that. It's better when the newspaper does it.
Yeah.
Because they ain't got your face. They ain't got your face, and they can't see your facial expression.
Yeah, but when you see them cameras,
they got the bright light just blasting at
and
you.
they try to tell you don't look into the camera. You looking at the camera like,
Be like, hi, mom.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, it's definitely an adventure. You learn. I guess you learn. Like the more you do it, the more and more you get comfortable with it. And you just kind of learn, be like, okay, this is what I got to say, or like, here's something I need to say, or whatnot. And so you just finally, you know, relax, and you just like, okay, let's just talk normal here. Let's just not worry about worry about what I'm saying. Like whatever I'm saying is gonna be fine. So, but yeah. All right, last thing, Dev, is besides being with the guys, so you just graduated, right? Are you going to graduate here in the
I just graduated.
just graduated. So tell, before we end this here, is so tell the viewers what your major is, and then what are you going for grad school? What your concentration for grad school is?
I graduated with a degree in Homeland Security, and I'm starting this semester. I'm taking my master's in intelligence analyst. So
That's cool.
yeah.
How's that been so far?
We're only in week 2, so can't really judge it. But looking at the syllabus, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be
Those
rough.
masters, though, I've heard about those graduate classes. Those masters, I've heard it's a different type of.
It's looking rough. Midterm finals. I'm like, it's a bunch of essays, bunch of writing, but I just gotta stay on top of it. You know.
Exactly. All I like to say is, hey man, like all you need is that paper at the end. Just get through it. Learn as much as you can. Get that paper. You know that paper means so much to once you're set, and you know. Hopefully, like I said, with this whole COVID year, it's kind of nice to have the ability. You know, I'm hoping for me. You know, we all get 6 years pretty much because, we were both redshirted, and so like being able to graduate. I'm gonna graduate in 4. You came in with credits, so for me, for you, it's a little different. But graduate in 4, hopefully in 2 years, you know, get that master's, and man, that'd be
this helps
sweet.
a lot of dudes out with the season not counting to our eligibility this year. So I see a bunch of guys like you that can make it throughout the master's school and get your master's. Like it helps us out a lot. And with a plan B, like let's say, God forbid, we make it to the NFL, but with that plan B, having a master's,
Yeah, but even if you make it to the NFL, you know, like I said, it's not for long. You know, you there for 1-2 years. You know, if you make it to the practice squad, you know, I think it's around $500,000 is your salary, whatever it is. I think for making the practice squad is the minimum. I think for that, and of course there's signing bonuses and roster bonuses, and there's so many more stuff. But your salaries, you know, $500,000. I mean, that's a lot of money, but you know that ain't gonna last you till forever. You know, like I said, you know, think about even Andrew Luck. Like, you know, he missed football, but you know, he was he came out of Stanford with an engineer degree, and he loved, like, you know, figuring out, building bridges, you know, designing, you know, doing the architect side of like houses and engineering, certain stuff like that. He was like technically like a top 10 engineer in like the United States or something like that.
Imagine graduating from Stanford and having the NFL, knowing you like.
If Stanford offered me like in high school or whatever, I would have said, okay, I'm taking that. Like, I'm committed to like Stanford because
that's how I read.
Because that's like literally top 3 school in the country, no matter what you do, and you know, like, it's great football. You know, you're in California, in San Francisco, you're in the Bay Area. It's a great area. I mean, if you've ever been out west, you know, I've been out there to the redwoods. You got the redwood trees.
Yeah,
the big.
You've been everywhere.
I've been around the block a couple times. But yeah, those redwood trees those things are suckers are huge.
All right, my dad's been out to Cali. I've never been out there yet.
Yeah, it's a vibe for the people that, you know. When I lived out in Oregon, 20 miles from the California border, it's, you know, it's a lot similar to the California lifestyle. It's a different vibe. It's let me tell you, East Coast people are nuts. I wouldn't say nuts. They're just different, I guess, compared to, you know, the West Coast or Midwest people. It's definitely a different atmosphere. I definitely like it a lot more.
Yeah, you see it in the locker room with different people from different places and their culture and everything.
Yeah, I love that. It's like I like to think of it. It's like, you know, I wish, even just like, not to get into political or anything, but like the U.S. would just take everything like what we do in the locker room, like, and just take all the stuff like that, just because, you know, we're all different colors, races, whatever, and we're all from different places, but we all like get along. Like, we're not all best buds, but we all get along. We make fun of each other. We have a good time. Like, there's definitely a chemistry or a culture that we have, you know, that's very tight knit, and I wish people who didn't play sports could understand that. But unless you've never played sports or never done those certain things, like, it's just, you can't really understand it.
You can't relate. Yeah.
But yeah. All right, Dev. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. First podcast is in the books, and I appreciate for you coming on and taking your time out of your day, your busy day.
Hey, I appreciate come talk you to me. For having me as the first guest on this podcast. I'm looking forward to watching the other guests and the rest of the podcast. So
like I said, guys, we'll be posting an episode every week, as long as I'm not too busy. But hopefully I'll be able to keep up with the schedule. I'll be posting once a week. Like I said, I'll be posted on a bunch of different platforms. But like I said, if you want to know more, go to my YouTube channel, The T.O. Show, and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully we can get this thing going and you know, impact some. It's more about, you know, not about the fame, not about that, you know, just gaining information and, you know, helping the fellow student athletes out, you know, whether it's, we talked about, you know, people who've already graduated or people coming in or current players or whatnot, just helping student athletes out and just, you know, gaining information. And, you know, that's all this is about, is helping all y'all out. All right. So thanks, Dev, for coming on. I appreciate it, bro.
No problem.